We just saw The Predator.
You mean The Predator?
What did I say?
Never mind.
We'll have your non-spoiler review right after this. Hi folks, welcome back to Pop Pop Fizzle. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Heidi.
And we're here to give you our non-spoiler review for The Predator. Now, special situation here. Heidi has not seen any of the previous Predator movies.
Nope. Not even a little bit.
You also didn't read my Predator script that I wrote either, did you?
No.
It ended badly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Food dates, expiration dates, you need to take those seriously.
Really do, yeah.
The Predator, part of a long storied franchise, reaching back into the 80s with Arnold. And, they've tried to reignite this flame, I think, several times, to varying degrees of success. I would say to little success, because really none of them have brought the kind of resurgence that they hoped for. But I've enjoyed some of their attempts, so that's okay.
I haven't seen any of their attempts, including the original. So
she didn't read my Predator script either, so what are you going to do?
Sorry.
So this was a unique experience for you going in fresh. Yes. For me, I've seen them all. I did not see, for the longest time, I did not see Predator 2. I had never seen it. Which struck me as odd because I think when it was out, I was a fan of like the Lethal Weapon stuff, and Danny Glover's in the second one. And so I always thought, I should watch that. I like Danny Glover. I should watch The Predator 2. And I just never did until recently, and I think I bought like a set of movies that had both of them on there, or else I caught it on like Amazon or something. Something. And so I was like, I've never seen it, I'll watch it. It was bad. It was real bad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just wasn't good. But there's kind of as far as the history of Predator films, there's the first two, which I think because of the time that they came out, because of coming out in the 80s, have a sort of elevated place in this people's nostalgia factor for people.
Yeah, the mindsets.
Yeah, much like the Rocky movies, the Rambo movies. There's a certain thing about movies that came out when people my age were kids that we have nostalgia for. And so when they try again, we feel compelled to give them a shot. Yeah. As I said, varying degrees of success with that. After Predator 1 and Predator 2, me being a comic fan, there were a lot of comic book sort of crossover things. There's like a Predator versus Batman thing. There's a Predator versus Aliens thing. And then somebody decided to make Predator versus Aliens a film.
I believe it was called
Aliens versus Predator. Yeah, AVP. That's right.
Which I also didn't see.
Right. Those movies also not good, but not terrible. I would kind of rank them in with the whole... I'm up late, I'm scrolling through Netflix or something, and I want a horror movie or a sci-fi movie or an action movie, and it doesn't have to be the greatest thing ever. I just want something on. Yeah. I just want to be entertained for a little bit. AVP kind of falls in there for me. Like, I wouldn't call them great cinema by any far stretch of the imagination, but they're not terrible. They didn't make me want to throw the remote at the television or anything like that. They're just, I don't really do that because
I was going to say, I can't think of anything that we've seen that you even like raised the remote up in that sort of fashion.
No, we've stopped some things that we didn't care for, that were just kind of making us feel snoozy. Like,
it sucks.
Good. Yeah. So we've done that. I've never walked out of a theater though.
No,
Once I've paid my hard-earned money for a movie, I'm going to watch it.
By golly.
And if I'm going to complain about it, I'm going to complain about it with the knowledge of what the movie actually was. Yeah.
So
but anyway, I was just going to say, so AVP, those two films, one of which was referenced in this movie.
Oh.
Because in the movies, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of those takes place in the 90s. Because I think both of the first, and I could be completely wrong about this, I'm not big on the lore, but I think the first and second Predator films happen fairly close together. So I think they were considering that one time that the Predator was on Earth, and then I think...
Well, yeah, I think they mentioned, and this is not really a spoiler. They just mentioned that the Predators had been around at certain
Been on
points in
Earth,
time,
yeah.
had been on Earth. So its attempt to connect to the previous
Right.
films.
Now the other film in the franchise, Predators, plural, was actually not set on Earth, but it features a bunch of people from Earth stuck on basically a hunting ground for the predators, like they've been brought in like animals and set free to and that was interesting. That has some interesting moments. It's not a great film, but it has some interesting moments. So going into this, for me, as somebody who's seen them all, I just wanted to see something that I felt honored sort of what came before it, but still gave me a fun ride. Like, I didn't go in thinking this was going to be the kind of movie that I would enjoy and talk about as much as I talk about certain movies that I really love. I just want a good solid hour and a half, 2 hours of entertainment. That's what I'm going for. And then you going in with no expectation.
None. I just hoped to be entertained. That was
Right.
it. And I hoped that I wasn't going to be lost because I hadn't had all that lore. And thankfully I was not. So I'm happy about that.
Right.
I felt like I was comfortable with what I was watching.
Right. So we went in and got a giant popcorn and some sodas and sat down and watched this film start to finish. There were a few things, I'll admit fully that I said this to you, I watched a few reviews for this before I saw the movie. And the ones that I watched were not positive at all.
Yeah.
They were very, as a matter of fact, they were leaning into very negative. And as I left the theater with you last night, we're doing this the next day. Sorry, we didn't get a chance to film last night.
It was late.
But as we left the theater last night, I remember thinking, I don't get what all the negativity was about. I felt like it was a fun ride. Like, I wasn't expecting more than a fun ride. So, and we can address some of the issues that people had later without getting into any spoilers. But how did you feel about the movie overall?
I enjoyed this movie. I for sure, there are some people who segregate movies or stuff that you see in the theater into like films or cinema or movies. Film.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to Joel and Leah, who get very triggered and offended. Yeah. But anyway, hi guys. This definitely, if I were to do that sort of thing, definitely falls into the movie category. This was just fun. It was, there was a lot of ridiculous humor, potty humor, things that were like ridiculous violence, and it was just, it was not something where I had the greatest expectations of the best movie ever. I just went in to just be entertained. Yeah. And so because I went in with that expectation, and also because I feel like maybe because I didn't have the lore behind me, it was like I just enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
So.
I felt like I agree with what you said. I feel like some of the dialogue was funny and bordering on offensive, purposely so. Mm-hmm. I felt like the performances were fun.
Yeah.
And fine. I felt like the story itself was fine. And I say fine, please don't take that as a dismissive thing. I mean that I wasn't expecting more of it, and I didn't get less than I expected. Like, I expected a fun ride, as I said, and I got that. So I enjoyed it. The violence and stuff is that over the top 80s ridiculousness, yeah. And it really felt like that. It felt like I was sitting in an 80s, early 90s kind of film to me, other than
the technology,
and
today.
And the actors, of course, that would not have been around
no,
then.
Pretty sure they weren't born yet.
Yeah, but lots of fun performances. I thought Thomas Jane was pretty funny in this as the character that he played, whose name I don't recall off the top of my head. But all of the characters have particular quirks, which make them interesting. Thomas Jane got to seal a lot of scenes and moments with some pretty funny dialogue. And then one of the complaints that I saw was about Olivia Munn, and I'm not a fan. Like, I watched Olivia Munn back in the G4 days, but was never a fan of hers. I didn't see anything to be gaga about when she was on G4. When she became an actress, it was a little bit weird, but I haven't seen her in much, honestly. But I saw some references to Her character, and that she was the least believable scientist since Denise Richards in that James Bond movie, Christmas, whatever her name was.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't disagree more. Like I didn't think that she had a stellar performance, but I thought she was believable as the character that she was. She was just, she wasn't like a Mary Sue or anything really. I
didn't feel like either. I'm pretty sure they glossed over the whole science-y thing.
Sure.
But that's not what this movie was about, so it really doesn't matter. So, there were probably some things that are probably not the most accurate portrayals of people with certain quirks or whatever, but who cares? Right. Really, that wasn't the point of this movie. The point of this movie was the Predator. So
weird Jake Busey role in this. Very small role for Jake Busey.
I wasn't expecting him at all, actually. I was actually delighted
my guess
to
is his dad was part of the second Predator film.
Gotcha.
So my guess is that was a little throwback to that, or a little nod to that. Yeah. There were a couple of nods to previous films in this. Just a nod and a wink kind of thing, not a full blown. So remember this? Yeah. Just a little nod.
So if you have been a fan of this whole series, then you would get that, I guess.
Yeah. So. Other performances. The lead actor's name Holbrook. I can't remember the first name.
Nope.
Do you remember? Okay. Anyway, he was solid and fine. I didn't have any problem with him. He had enough charm to play the lead. I felt like all of the supporting cast was decent. Jacob Tremblay, who plays the boy in this film, was solid in this as well. It's not going to be like this Oscar-winning turn like he had in Room or whatever. I don't think he's going to get that kind of notice for this, but he was fine in this role, and I think if you wouldn't have had as solid a child actor in this role, the movie would have suffered for it. So I think that helped.
Yeah, that did pretty well. And then as far as the actual plot and screen time for everybody, I felt like nothing was necessarily paint by numbers. I felt like but there were some things, some beats that we were like, oh yeah, that was going to come.
Well, so yeah, and if you've seen the trailer, Sterling K. Brown is in this, and even from the trailer, you get the feeling that he walks kind of this weird line. You're not sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy or whatever. And he plays his character with a little bit of nuttiness to him that makes him entertaining. So you respect his intelligence, but at the same time he's kind of nutty with some of his approaches to things. So you're really not sure what to feel about him most of the way through, but that works. That works for his character and for his part in the movie. So all in all, I mean, I feel like it was a solid watch. I enjoyed my time in the theater. I laughed several times. Yeah.
Some of this stuff was just too ridiculous not to laugh at, so I did as well.
Yeah, and there were a few times where I went, ugh, that too. But nothing, nothing that would keep me from recommending this film. The question is, how do I recommend it? So the way that we rate films here, if you've been watching us for any length of time, we use our name, Pop, Pop, Fizzle. So a fizzle is a movie that we say, don't even bother, not worth your time, not worth your money, not even streaming, just ignore the fact that it even exists, basically. Pop would mean that we recommend the movie, but you don't necessarily have to go out and spend your hard-earned money on seeing it in the theater. Wait until it hits Redbox or Netflix, not a sponsor at all. And then if we call it a double pop, then that means go out now, see it on the big screen, grab yourself some popcorn and a soda, use that AMC A-List, also not a sponsor, but that's what I used last night. And so that's kind of how we do things. Now on that scale, Heidi, how would you rate this particular film?
That's kind of tough. So the only reason why I would say higher than a pop, but not a double pop. And the only reason why I'm in the middle there is that a lot of the screen time was a little bit dark. So I feel like if you're watching this at home, now if you've got a great home theater system, absolutely go ahead and see it at home. Make sure you turn out all the lights so you can catch everything. But otherwise, if you're not necessarily as up to date with your home theater system, this may not be something where you're going to catch everything on your screen. So I feel like it's worth it to see on the big screen for that purpose only. But it was a fun movie, and I would totally recommend it however you want to see it.
Yeah. So your infamous pop and a half.
Yeah.
Pop and a quarter.
Yeah, kind of.
Something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I just felt that was just so weird, but Yeah, I know, but so bigger than a pop, but not quite a double pop.
Gotcha.
So if you take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I'm going to fall somewhere in there as well, mainly because I think whether it lands as a pop or a double pop largely is going to depend on your feelings about the Predator franchise overall. I think if you're a Predator fan, not the sports team, but the movies. If you're a fan of the movies, then I would say definitely go and spend money to see it on the big screen, because we haven't had one in a while. Go and check it out and help it make some money so that you get another one down the road. If you're not that big of a fan, but the trailer seemed interesting to you and you like what we had to say about it, then maybe streaming will be the way to go. Either way, I think it's worth seeing. Yeah. So somewhere between that pop and a pop and a half, or a pop and or double pop. Sorry, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. So right around a double pop and a half. I don't know.
Pop and a half.
Not a double pop and a half. Yeah, a pop and a half is what I'm trying to say. Just a little out of my head today. So yeah, that's it for me. I enjoyed this film, and I think that if you're a Predator fan, for sure, you'll enjoy this film as well. And even if you're just an action film fan, I think you'd enjoy this film as well, as long as you don't go in trying to take it too seriously. I don't think it takes itself very seriously.
Yeah, I think that's probably where a lot of the negative commentary probably came from, is that I think people were expecting something else other than something that was as, just trying to be fun as this was.
I could have done without the last 5 minutes. I could have done without the attempt to set up for another movie.
Yeah.
If they had left that part off, I would have been more happy with this probably. But I think movies are going to do that. I think we live in the age of
franchises,
interconnected franchises and things like that. I think it's bound to happen. So that's fine.
And whether they get another movie or not is really hard to be seen. So, I mean, you can just take it for, this is the future of this world as they're living it. So, whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, those are our thoughts about The Predator. If you've seen it already, let us know what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it, then let us know. Are you interested after hearing our review? Did it help? If not, that's fine too. All we do is go see movies or watch trailers or whatever it is that we do, and then we give you our honest opinion and take on it. Sometimes it's not going to line up with yours, and that's okay. We like you anyway. Yeah. If you like this video,
hit that thumbs up.
And consider subscribing to the channel, because we like having you be a part of our little family. It's a teeny little community right now.
But we love it.
Yeah, we're trying to grow it slowly. So we appreciate every time that number goes up by one person. We love having you on board. If you're already on board, then make sure you hit that bell icon, because apparently, according to YouTube, they sometimes maybe kind of notify you if we drop new content.
Has there been a problem with that?
There's been some discussion among YouTubers, yeah. But we'll see. It's worth a shot. So give it a whirl, and that way, hopefully, you won't miss anything that we drop. And we will be dropping some more things, including some more trailer reactions sometime this week. Yeah. Until next time, folks.
Bye.
Bye.